Te koto te whānau o Auckland Unitarians. Te koto ngā manahiri. No mai, haramai ki te whare karakia a te atua. Te koto tēnā tātou katoa. We welcome you into this circle of community. Welcome into this space made sacred by Auckland Unitarians for 115 years. We gather on this morning to worship in spirit and truth, to raise a joyful noise to the eternal mystery, to reconfirm our covenant, to seek wisdom and love, to strengthen our commitment to the common good. We come from many paths to explore that which is hidden, to consider the ways of our hearts, to confess how we have stumbled, to heal what is broken. We assemble in the effort to quicken our compassion and mercy, to deepen our understanding, to renew our courage, to remember who we are. Thus do we celebrate the grace and gift of life and practice our faith to the greater glory of the Spirit. Perhaps equally important, we gather to be a beloved community with old friends, new friends, and those simply passing through. For my opening words, I want to share a story you may be familiar with. Long ago, a woman wanted to see for herself the difference between heaven and hell. The monks and the temple agreed to grant her request. "First you shall see hell," they said as they put a blindfold over her eyes. When the blindfold was removed, the woman stood at the entrance to a great hall. The hall was filled with round tables, each piled high with the most delicious feast, meats, vegetables, fruits of every kind, and desserts to make your mouth water. The woman noticed that there were people seated just out of arm's reach of the tables. Their bodies were thin and their pale faces convulsed with frustration. They held spoons almost 3 feet long. With the spoons, they could reach the food, but they could not get the food back into their mouths. As the woman watched, a hungry, angry sound rose in the air. "Enough," she said. "Let me see heaven." When the blindfold was removed the second time, the woman rubbed her eyes, for there she stood again at the entrance to a great hall, with tables piled high with the same sumptuous feast. Again, she saw the people sitting just out of arm's reach of the food with those long spoons. But the people in heaven were plump and rosy-cheeked. And as she watched, the musical sound of laughter filled the air. And then the woman laughed, for now she understood the difference. The people in heaven were using those 3 feet long spoons to feed each other. We light this chalice to help us find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. May it help us to welcome the stranger and open our heart to the world in need of healing. May it give us the strength to be courageous before the forces of hate and to hold and embody a vision of the common good that serves the needs of all people. This week has been an uncommon one for me. As David mentioned in Joys and Concerns, I spent the first 3 days as a guest speaker at the Sea of Faith Conference at Upper Hutt. I was joined by 6 members or friends of this congregation. The focus was on the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. The structure was for each of 4 keynote addresses to be followed by small group discussions of the questions raised by the talk. One of those speakers was the former MP, Dr. Sue Bradford, who has preached here, a lifelong activist for changing the system to be fairer and kinder. In her talk on Reformation versus transformation, she raised the question, what would a transformed Aotearoa look like? In my group, Marion Hines, partner of David, took the words right out of my mouth. For her and me, a transformed Aotearoa would always act for the common good. The word common can be combined with others, as in a commonplace, common sense, or even common man, to give us the understanding that we're talking about something that is ordinary, regular, familiar, and widespread. However, the idiom in common is not ordinary. It means belonging equally to everyone. When used in regards to the community as a whole, it indicates that which is held for the common good. The concept of the common good is prominent early in Christian writings. In the Epistle of Barnabas, it is written, "Do not live entirely isolated, having retreated into yourselves as if you were already justified, but gather instead to seek together the common good." The goal is everyone equally benefiting. The way to reach the goal is to come together. The common good is an essential concept in Augustine Hippo's City of God. Augustine, in turn, was influenced by the philosophy of Aristotle. Aristotle's philosophy also influenced Catholic theologian Thomas Aquinas concerning the common good. The concept of the common good became standard in Roman Catholic moral theology. Former Unitarian President Peter Morales speaks of the common good in his sermon, "We Are One." In the sermon, he says, "We are people who have always affirmed human diversity. We have always looked to the future and seen new possibilities. We must do so again. Let us be the people who break down the arbitrary barriers that divide us from them. We are one, and love and hope will guide us. Let us, together with all our brothers and sisters, build a new way." I first heard of the concept of the common in New England. The common is a place or space reserved in each town or city for the building of the local church or meeting house, which would also become the focal center of community activities, be they religious, social, or political. In England, the commons referred to land which was held in common as opposed to privatized land, which was enclosed and owned by individuals as private property. In medieval England, the common referred to land that was legally part of a private estate, but over which tenants held certain rights. Eventually, the concept of the common came to refer to essential resources a community had rights to and access to. For the Maori, who had no concept of private ownership before the Pakeha arrived, every resource was held in common. Not so long ago, many things were held in common by the people. Public education was created for the common good, as were roads and city water systems, and public works in general were created for the common good. Commons have two characteristics. First, they are gifts, and secondly, they are gifts that are shared. We enjoy these gifts as members of a community rather than as individuals. Some gifts we hold in common are basic parts of the ecosystem, like the air we breathe and the water we drink and use in so many other ways. But there are also gifts we share like languages and music, local and national parks, and even the internet. Sadly, the idea of the common good has paled in the neoliberal age. Neoliberalism is an economic view that suits our globalized commercial world, but humanity and the environment less so. While it is neither new or liberal, its influence has been particularly felt for the past 40 years. Its proponents were reacting to totalitarian forms of communism in the early to mid-20th century. They considered anything that governments and trade unions did to promote the common good as a form of fascism. It was their view that the liberal response was to unfetter capitalism from government regulation and collective bargaining. Since Reagan, Thatcher, and here in New Zealand, Roger Douglas, neoliberalism has had its way with us, thanks to both center-left and center-right political parties. Deregulation of the marketplace and disempowering of unions have gutted belief in the importance of the common good. To carry out their political and economic agenda, neoliberals had to convince us that we were alone and in competition with everyone else for whatever crumbs were thrown our way. We each had to look out for our own interests and view others as a threat to those interests. Selfishness became good and practical. Seeking the common good was naive at best. For more than 2 generations now, neoliberalism has sought to divide us, and the price has been high. For example, our divisions have allowed us to think it is okay for some to live in poverty, as if it was their fault. We did not consider the cost to the common good of their children living in substandard housing, on substandard diets, with substandard health care, and going to substandard schools. Our divisions blinded us to the perils of selling off our assets held in common to global multinationals who had no stake in our communities or nation. We took no notice of those same interests mining and drilling our natural resources for the benefit of those with sufficient capital to invest in faraway places. It was no matter to them if our water and air was befouled. They did not have to drink or breathe them. Neoliberalism reduced everything to a commodity, and we did not notice when we ourselves and our labor were reduced to the same. Our consumer-based economy eventually consumed us in our desire for the cheapest goods and services provided by the cheapest labor. Perhaps the most insidious aspects of neoliberalism is that it has perverted our understanding of what is in our best interest, convincing us it is not the common good. It has set us up against each other. Issues important to all of us are too often framed as someone must win and someone must lose. We saw this phenomenon in abundance in the recent election. It didn't matter if the issue was water policy, immigration, refugees, housing, child poverty, welfare reform, charter schools, climate change, prison reform, a living wage, transportation, regional development, or taxes on capital gains. For instance, Labor ran on an anti-immigration agenda, and National pushed tax cuts over welfare reform. Neither position promotes the common good. Instead of seeing these issues as reasons to come together to find common sense answers that enhance the common good, they were used to divide us. When we as a people are divided, it is usually to the benefit of those who wish to own, control, exploit, eliminate the common. For some, this may sound like a sermon focused on politics rather than spiritual matters. Yet seeking the common good is very much in the purview of a faith community. Historically, as I said earlier, the town common was where the local church was. The meeting house was where the business of the community was carried out. The moral theology of the meeting house permeated and shaped the culture of the town. Even before Christian worship, the Greeks had a concept for liturgy. It's a word made up of two words, litos and ergos. Litos means people or public. Ergos means work. Together they meant the work of the people. Liturgy meant working for the common good. An example might be if the town needed a bridge over the river that dividing it, those of means would provide material, and the whole town would provide the sweat equity to build it. The common good and the agreement about how we are to use things that are held in common is the bridge we seek to build in regards to social justice within our local communities and the larger world. An influential Unitarian theologian, the late James Luther Adams, wrote that a faith that is not the sister of justice is bound to bring us to grief. It thwarts creation, a divinely given possibility. It robs us of our birthright of freedom in an open universe. It robs the community of the spiritual riches latent in its members. It reduces us to beasts of burden in slavish subservience to a state, a church, or party, to a self-made God. Adams went on to posit that the tenet of the free person's faith is that the commanding, sustaining, transforming reality finds its richest focus in free, cooperative efforts for the common good. To me, this says that our lives as free people are fulfilled only when we are in right relation with each other, working for the common good of humanity. If our religious orientation, our ethical values are not joined with justice towards others, we will surely be brought to grief because we will not be at one with the universe. What do we members of the Auckland Unitarian Church hold in common? This building, the use of the land upon which it's built, and all that we have built up together over the last 115 years. Prominent among these are the common values spelled out in our Unitarian principles and our covenant. And we hold in common the gift of the communities in which we live. And living in this city and this country and the gifts we hold in common extend much further. Ultimately, we recognize that we are part of the interconnected web of existence which has no borders. Reclaiming the common is our spiritual task and purpose. Amen. For our meditation, I offer you these words. Grandfather, look at our brokenness. We know that in all creation, only the human family has strayed from the sacred way. We know that we are the ones who are divided, and we are the ones who must come back together. To walk the sacred way, Grandfather, Sacred One, teach us love, compassion, and honor, that we may heal the earth and heal each other. I offer these for our closing words. Touch and be touched. Love and be loved. Forgive and be forgiven. Heal and be healed, so that the goodness of our lives is a shared blessing.